Sorry about last week.
No problem.
We're gonna start
It was
doing
fine.
I think I did way too much.
that. I think
You
we got
think?
two levels there on the same property.
You know what?
Should
And
not have gotten
never,
that junk food.
April, when I got home the next day, I was in the shower
No,
and I'm
no.
like, I'm washing my hair. and
It's
I'm
a lot of work.
like, what the hell? You see? It's good.
Well, I was thinking,
Like,
like,
it
it's too bad. It was
too
like,
busy.
too much water. I'm gonna get dumped down, I'm gonna get back up. It was the climbing up that must have been pulling me up that did me
Did
in.
you?
Because the doctor's like, what were you doing? I said, nobody would get in.
Well, I would have if you asked me, but I was like,
Actually, I put, we paid
I just gotta get these
20 to 30.
6 copy and 7 copy out.
30 into it. And you end up, so you put about 60,000 in the house and you got,
Pretty good.
pretty myself. Actually, I got two
I
on
don't know what
the
goes.
See, that's what I'm gonna do this. All-
This
both of them, all
is mine, this is Sarah's.
I
You got the
insulated
new one?
everything.
This is the new
My
one.
daughter's house over there was
Stop.
just-
I wanted to see what the other one looked like.
Okay, well, you can
But that's
compare
okay.
that.
That's
And then this
And more
is Sarah's, right?
in the attic, we plugged up every crack here, there, and everywhere. The electric is cheaper than all she was paying.
Really?
Actually, this one is Sarah's.
That's what I'm going to baseball heat. That's what you got.
Yep. Well, you,
And thermostat in every room?
Yep. the baseboard, the thing about that, the baseboard heaters, you get out everything you put into them.
Yes.
Because there's no fans, the heat goes up the chimney,
Sure.
no pumps. You're not running any
Electric?
fans,
Yeah.
that heat.
I changed to electric 2 years ago.
You got your thermostat on the wall or on the heater itself?
On the wall, away from the heater. My highest electric bill was 6 something.
She had one heater that was off down the hall by itself, I did put a thermostat in that one, because I didn't want Jerry walls over the change
Oh,
all
that's just-
But I told her, I said, you just have to balance that with the rest of them. But it is cheaper. She was running fuel oil. And after a couple of years,
Really?
I said to her, and she said, Dad, you know why oil's costing anything? So we bought some heaters and put in.
And you know what's great about it too, I found, is like, I feel like my house stays more consistent. Like, I have it, and all my apartment buildings are all electric heat. But I feel like the house stays more at the same temperature in every room, instead of a room getting warmer where the heat was blown up and the other room's getting
Well,
colder.
the trouble I've had lately is thermostats, they got cheap and the range is too big.
Yeah, I have a
It's like about
thermostat in every room.
From 5 to 7 degrees. So it gets real cold before it comes on, and then it gets too warm when it goes off. It should be about 2 degrees. It used to be a thermostat for like, it was like, absolutely, you bought a thermostat, had a 2 degree range in it. And more, they're cheap. And you can't, it used to, for a while, some of them you could adjust if you want to sit and play with them long enough.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do it because you gotta change the temperature and stuff all the time.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, since April didn't hear, and I already went over it with you and you, I'll start at the beginning. Okay?
Almost done.
All right, because they're changed from the one I highlighted. Okay, so in the revenue, page 1, you'll see I changed the real property tax that we're charging the people. I upped that 18,570. What we have to do is, our tax cap is 38,690 that I can add to real property tax. That's staying at the 2% level. Okay. So what I did is, after I did all the things, I put how much I raised each one, and we're $121 less of what we can charge still. So I spent it all except 121 so far.
24.5 you want to put in there.
The last time I put 24.5, but you'll see when you look, I took Millbrook revenues out. Okay, and I took a lot of Millbrook's expenses out. Okay, so that's where the 586,370 comes from, April. That's what we're charging the
Okay.
taxpayer.
Okay.
Next in lieu of payments is 0, property tax interest, that's always estimated 7,000. Non-property tax district, 0, 800 for clerk fees, dog kennel license fees is 150, dog license 2,000. These have been the same numbers on and on. Millbrook fees, I made to 0 now, because I moved that into TOV. So that 35,000 that we calculated is coming in. I put that revenue in another town outside of Village. All right, interest and earnings. I put 10,000. I was really nervous to do this. I did a 6-1 John in green on the side, and I cut it. But Joan goes, Wendy, you guys moved your money. You're making money. Why wouldn't you show for it? And when you stop making money, you take it back out. I said, but won't it hurt us down the road? And she says it shouldn't, because we actually probably will make 30,000, so we're putting the rest with appropriated fund balance. But next year, we may not make that kind of interest, and the following year, we may make less. But we have to be able to adjust that, and that's will help the taxpayer. License is 200, fines, forfeit, bails, 15, I left that the same. 00, state per capital aid is 14,701. I did get the email, that's what we're gonna be getting. Mortgage tax, I hope that comes in at 8, but because that's what I budgeted, I don't know if it will, because that's all an estimation. Okay, that might be lower, because I don't know if we've had a lot of property sell. So, yeah, well, she's on vacation too right now. State aid grants is 0, and the appropriated funds balance that I'm putting in, unallocated fund balance that we'll have left over or out of reserves is 18,563. Okay, that's where that money comes from.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so that's our revenues. On town board, the 2% raise, that's with the 2% raise, the PS, okay? And the 2% raise was $384 I added, okay? The justice, I did put a $2,000 contractual, which we've never had. I added that because if you and Sarah want to go to the training again next year, I put a training one, okay, for that. The justice, she asked for 2.5, which the increase is 328 because when Judge Bida was here, we didn't increase that line for 2 years. So she would like us to try to catch up to what it should be. So I increased that by 328. It was a 2.5 increase, okay? She asked for the justice clerk to get a 2.5 increase, which would be 50 cents. So instead of making $20 an hour, she would make $20.50 an hour for a 12-hour week. I didn't have to increase that line because I made it red because she is getting an increase, but it comes to at $20.50 for 12 hours we allow her is $12,792. So I didn't have to increase that line.
So the actual in 2024 was less than the 13 is what we paid her?
Yes, because she didn't use all of her 12 hours a week.
Okay.
So far, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen, they got a trial coming up,
Right.
but we allow her 12 hours a week, and she's been averaging, I think, 8 hours a week, but she's good. You know, she's been doing it for years. The justice contractual, I left the same. The supervisor, 2% raise, that was $226 added to that. And I left the equipment, I took out the reserves because we just had too many expenses this year, I couldn't do reserves. The supervisor equipment, I put at 250, I left, I don't know why it's red, it should be black. And I did up the contractual 15 because I went over my line if I go to training. I remember, before we went over twice this year because we took Sarah's training out of that line and we took Mike G's out of that line. And I went to training. Mike G is completely out of this. That's just for if I gotta go to training or anything for me now, okay? So I made it 1,500. First I put 25, I think, John, but I cut it back down to 15. All right, the budget officer, I left the same. The assessor's where it gets tricky, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so the assessor is gonna be done, her term will be done in September 30th of 25. We need to appoint a new assessor. She has somebody in mind. So that's why we have more assessor lines. So the assessor's salary is based on a 2% increase, which was $384 increase. So that's why it's $19,581. Penny will get that amount of money for 9 months. The next 3 months will be the new assessor we appoint. Okay? So that, it still will be the same 1958, but she will take that salary for 9 months, and then the new assessor will get it for the last 3 months, for October, November, December. Okay? The trainee who she wants to bring in to start training, she wanted 10,000, and I said we couldn't do 10,000, so we based her salary at 7,500 per year for the trainee, and I based it on 9 months. So in 9 months, that'll cost us $5,625 for 9 months. But she'll be training under Penny for 9 months before she becomes the assessor. And then Penny wants a consultant fee for $5,000 per year, but we only have to pay her that for 3 months. So I divided that $5,000, and what we'll pay her for 3 months is $1,251. That's how I come up with the training line of 6876. It's $5,625 for the new assessor while she's training, and then $1,251 for Penny for the last 3 months. Okay? That's where that 687 came from.
Okay.
You following me? Okay. So they will literally be switching pay line roles, okay, where it's coming out of. Even though it will be different rates for both of them, per month. And I wrote that down for the compensation schedule. Okay, that's the asset. Again, and the reserve lines, I put 0 because this 68, having another salary in there is tough,
Yeah, right.
Okay, the town clerk 2% raise was $885. That is $45,122. That was at 2%. The deputy clerk, I had many, many formulas for the deputy clerk. You all gave me your input. That is 16 hours at $16 an hour. She'll be moving up, I think, next month. Is that correct, Debbie, to the 16 hours, or has it already happened?
Next month.
Next month. So that's based on $16 an hour. Okay? So that's the 13,312, 16 hours a week. The contractual, I left at 7,000. The town equipment, I did up to 1,500. Okay. The attorney, I left the same. The buildings, I upped. Why did I write bill? Oh, I didn't up the building. The building's the same. I upped 1,000 to the office supplies. Or 500.
Yeah, 500 for that and 500.
Yeah, 500 for print and mail, and 500 for, I wrote it wrong in my book, 500 for the office supplies. Unallocated insurance, Joan. I went, Joan, says Wendy, go back. She goes, she wanted me to do 10%, and I didn't. I did what I do, 3,000, right? No, I did more than 3. I did 5, didn't I?
Yeah, you did 5. 4,
Was it, is it 6?
6.
6. I did 6,000. So I did up that because Joan was like, Wendy, everybody is telling me 10% on that. And I did 6. The municipal dues, I dropped to 1,000, but I might be wrong on that. I thought it went up to 900 is what the letter first, is that where associations of towns come out of?
Association of Towns comes out of there, and I thought we had another one that comes out of there, because we have a couple of things that were,
Because on your, I don't have that folder, it's in the office. because all of your other ones, I put in your contractual, but my other one I was concerned about was Brandon's. Where does Brandon's come out of?
That's what we're thinking. Okay.
I think it comes out of.
Oh, would it come out of general?
General.
Contractual, okay. So
It
that's
comes
was the
out-
only one I was worried about, because I only figured associations of towns. And that came in at 9, they said. So that's why I dropped that one. But I'll look at your thing if we're missing anything, Debbie. I have all your ones you wrote down. Contingency, I up to 10,000. Okay. Next page. Part-time police. Part-time police is based on a 3% raise. And it's based on, so they're, whatever their salary is making, which I don't know why I don't like that. I just wrote the, did I write that down anyway? Police, might be on a different paper, per hour. But I upped that and I added 1,500 for overtime. So they got 1,500 for overtime because we just passed that. And a 3% raise on the part-time police. My first one was 4, but I went down to 3. On the full-time police officer, I upped 2,000. That's all he can ever make. He can't get overtime, any extra pay. It's $35,000 salary.
Nothing. actually,
No
nothing.
time card,
Done,
no,
Done.
that's
done.
it, 35.
I don't care, 5 years from now.
And I will tell you, I don't have a problem giving him, it's like a 6 point something increase. But he has got this town $74,500 in grant money. Plus, I don't know what the new computers for the cars are gonna be. He's getting those donated. I don't know what the price.
They were.
But he got a $45,000 grant, he got a 29-something thousand grant, the NRI grant, I don't know what we got. He got the church to give us 500. 74.5 is what I calculated, and that's not counting the new computers for the cars. So he's saved the town a lot of money.
Can't go any further, so.
Yeah, and he can't go any further. That's the highest he could ever make. All right, the police, full-time. I did give her, I left the 4% in there. I do have other figures. It's 4% of her salary. Her hourly rate, which will be, she's getting an increase of $2,266 at 4%. It's $58,916 is what her salary will be based. And I did put 1,500 for overtime. That's where I got the 60, 14, 16.
Okay, with that 1,500.
Yeah, I
Because
did.
I was like, that doesn't.
No, her base will be 5,8,916. 1,500 budget for overtime is 60,416. That's based on 40 hours a week times 52 weeks. 27.85 an hour will be her. I don't know why I didn't do the police. I thought I had the police.
And how is that figure for us for our bottom line? Because I know we at one point talked about going a little less, but we weren't sure.
We did, but, well, you'll look when we get down through
Okay.
all the things. And I do have figures of, it would be, if we do 3.5, it'd be with the 15 overtime, would be 59,156. If we did 3% like the part-time, it'd be 58,866 with 15 over. I do have those. But I also calculated, if we just gave them the 2% raise, and if we took the money, because they have that reserve out of police, we are talking about to give her the 4%, to give the PTO, the OIC, and the full-time, if we gave them all 2% like we did everybody else, and I upped them, the difference was $3,239 that we could take out of reserves, because they have it in reserves, to make up the difference for the 1% increase, the 2,000 for OIC, and the 4% for the cop. And I'm planning on taking 5,000 out of reserve for them. That covers if we take it all, their whole increases was 49.40, I believe, I think. I gotta make sure that that math's right. But I can take, their increases wouldn't have to cost the taxpayer any money because we have.
That's what I was hoping. As
That's,
long as we're
we
not-
can use it as reserve, but I thought they would automatically get a 2%. So we shouldn't, that would be going on our tax roll. So the difference we can take out of reserve. So it shouldn't cost the taxpayer any more money. Police equipment, I left the same. The police equipment reserve, I zeroed out. Police gas, I left the same, and their contractual, I left the same. Animal control, I left the same. Examining board, that's the grievance board, I left the same. Vital statistics, I left the same. Highway superintendent, 2% was $1,260, he got increased. And that number is 61,526. I did take out that contractual that I had in there, John. Remember I had a contractual
Yeah.
line? I took that out. This is where the youth program, oh, I missed the garage.
Yeah.
The garage, I upped 6,500 because that's where our fuel and stuff comes out. And I added an equipment line, I took that out too. I don't know if you noticed that from the pink one to, remember I had a 500 for equipment for
Yeah,
garage?
I crossed it off.
I
didn't see
took-
you were
yeah,
there.
I took it out.
Crossed off.
I took it out.
So that's fuel comes out of that line?
Yeah, I hope that's enough. The heating fuel, the heating fuel, not the
Heating
diesel.
building.
Heat the building, not the diesel, okay?
Anything to do with the building, the NICEAG, the water, and the heating fuel and the garbage. And then any maintenance that has to happen to the building itself, all comes out of garage.
I hope that's enough. So,
I know.
and I did double check. I'm like, are you sure I can't put that in highway? And he goes, no, you're supposed to have it in general. Because I see it in other people's budget in highway.
We don't want to copy other people. We want to do it right.
Yeah, so,
Well, it's nice to know what it is, where it is.
yeah.
Very few months that it's.
Yeah.
Anymore.
So now you'll see on youth program hourly rate, I took that out, zeroed. Youth manager, zeroed. Youth PS, zeroed. The youth program, because we want to do the games and have like the color and have some activities for our youth up at Millbrook. I left 5,000 in there, okay? So library's the same, historian's the same. State retirement, all of you don't flip. I lowered that 5,000. We will be okay. We do have a reserve. We still will be okay. Don't panic. Is everybody okay with that?
Is that the real number?
I have the estimate. It's going to cost us 70. Did I write that down? I got to go get my folder. It's 71 something and 16 something. So what is that? 80 something?
Only twice as much as 40 you got in there.
Yeah.
Well, I got 40 here and I got 45 in the highway. So I have 85 budgeted. I have enough to cover it. Okay? I promise. I promise I
No,
haven't.
I'm just saying,
Just making sure that it's somewhere.
Yes.
well,
500, you took, yeah, okay.
Okay.
if you have to go dig around and find it, then it's pretty hard to keep track.
Yeah, but we do have a state retirement reserve too, if we come short, because I guess we're always like a year behind on that. We don't pay it, like they're giving us last year's prices.
Right.
Okay, so Social Security, Medicaid, left the same, life insurance left the same, medical insurance I left the same, because we capped that.
With life insurance, you added.
Oh, I did,
Yeah.
$100 just to,
Right.
because I didn't know if that was gonna go up this year. I don't know if we got that estimate. All right, here's where the craziness comes in. All right, TOV, real property tax. I upped it $1,092, I believe, $1,092. Non-property tax district. I put in 25,000, that's coming out of our sales tax. Okay? That's sales tax money going into this. Interest and earnings, I calculated 2,000.
You had 65.
I had 16.5 at first.
Okay, what do you think you?
But watch, and then I had, I put Millbrook's fees. That's our campground fees, 35,000 I'm estimating. And then appropriated fund balance will come out of a reserve of $7,862 to make these numbers work. Personnel is the planning board, I left it the same. The planning board contractual, I upped 200 because they've been doing a lot more advertising. I don't know if that's enough, but I doubled it. Recreation parks, this is a new number for recreation parks. This 38,397 is everybody's salary. So it will be 6,965 for off-season for the manager during off-season. That's based on 26 weeks. It's based 3 times a week for 5 days, 15 hours a week at 1786. That's where that number came from. 4,000 is her manager position to be on call during the summer and the weekends. Okay, that's after her hours working, she's the manager. So the manager line comes to 10,965. The hourly rate, I put 40 hours a week for Connie for 26 weeks at her 1786 an hourly rate. That came to 18,575. Judy's salary, we based it on, I think, 440 hours at 1637. It came to 7180. We just rounded it up. It was 7188. So we rounded up to 7190. Brian's salary, and everybody got just a 2% raise here. Okay. And Brian got the $32 for the 1600. So all those salaries will be divided out on the compensation schedule. That's what Joan told me to do. I put it all in one line. So that's where that 38,397 comes. Okay. It's the off-season, the managers, the hourly rates, and Brian. Because you'll see if you looked in the old budget, it was 25,7 something for the hourly rates. And it's 18,575 and 7,190. It's 20 something. I didn't add those two together because she told me to add it all up. Okay. And then we put in 15,000 for, did I put the, yeah, 15,000 for our contractual. That's our pumping, the wells like Tuller and the porta potty guy. That's our electric. That's our service, whatever we have, our internet. And hopefully this number, I had it on a little piece of paper what the store brought in. I didn't add any more for the store yet because I don't know how much we spent this year to how much we made. Okay. So that's how I came up with those numbers. And that total came to about 53,397, and that's what we usually spend at Millbrook. Last year it might have been 57, but we did a lot of infrastructure. We took money out of reserves for that infrastructure. So that's those lines. Any questions? John, you look confused.
No, you're good.
You got it?
Yeah, I got
Okay.
it. Yeah, I know where you're getting it from.
You get it?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I had to look at something.
Now, under the finance, they gave me a new number for finance, other government support. This is Jones Pay. It's the ProTech services. It's, I budgeted 23 for her. Plus she told me QuickBooks, she was estimating 25 for her. And I budgeted 2,000 for Mike G. That came to 27.5. And they are all other government support. Yep, and that's what I put. But this is this will be for Jones, QuickBooks, and Mike G. Okay. Yeah, I cut that 500. I cut Mike's by 500. Okay. Do y'all understand? Because that's what Joan told me. She goes, because they were all contractual expenses. She goes, just put them. She looked up on the comptroller's book, gave me that number. Okay. So that's TOV. So TOV went up tremendously, but we did put revenue in there. We put 50 just from sales tax and Millbrook. We put 60,000 just from those two. Okay? Okay, this is why I went down, John, on the general fund instead of the 24. I really thought, we didn't increase highway last year. Most of our cost comes from the roads. And now we got the 22 roads that can be serviced, right? Which hopefully most of it will be CHIPS. But I put the increase in DA and DB. So DA, I added to the tax roll $7,750. At first, I only did 5,000, but I upped it to 7,750. That's on the real property tax.
Right.
And then the others are zero. The appropriated, the other revenue and budgeted, that 35,000 is for the salt from the schools. The school pays us for salt and sand, April, and that's from doing the county roads.
Okay.
We get paid from other revenue. So that's our revenue. The snow removal, you'll see the PS went up 145.5. I left the snow removal the same, but Mike G gave me a number to transfer in to reserves. That's that number, 27.5, 2,000, see 2,700 is going back into our reserves. I did 5,000 last year, but I couldn't quite do it this year because we never had a machine equipment line. The 5130 is a new line. So, and we should have had that. So I don't know how much we'll use out of it, but I budget 7,500. Okay. So, and then Social Security, Medicaid, 12. So that's where I got those numbers. Any questions on that? Okay, DB. DB, I upped 8,165. And I know these numbers are weird, but when I add them up, that's how I do these so I'm at the tax cap. All right. So that's will be the real property, the 171,674. The 180,000 is sales tax revenue that we put into our highway. Okay, that 180. The 143 is our CHIPS. That's our revenue, 494,674. Our expenditures is salary, 1,730 or 17,300. General repairs, you'll see I dropped that, 77.6. I dropped that tremendously. We spent about 18,000 already this year, but I moved that money down into machine equipment. We've only had 4,000 budgeted. Our audit said that was a ridiculous low number, and we've spent, I think, 50-some thousand out of it this year. So that's why I put it in there, the 54. I put transfer to reserves, 5,250. And brush and weeds, I gave a 2% increase. That will be $17.86 an hour for the brush and weeds. That's if we keep Paul. If we go back to 2, it'll be probably lower the salaries and have 2, John.
Right.
But that's based on 32 hours.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Based on 32 hours for Paul. Where am I? I don't know. That one should be red. I lowered that contractual to 4 on the brush and weeds. Okay. State retirement. Here's your state retirement again at 45. Medicaid 11. Life insurance 340. I just rounded that up, April. And then 40,000 for medical insurance. So that's those numbers. Any questions on DB?
Yeah.
I have a question. Should I lower the real property tax a little bit and add more to the reserves in DA instead of DB? Instead of doing the 8,000, what did I tell you I did? 8,165. But I think we spend more money out of DB than we do DA. Because that's basically for winter months.
Right.
That's probably why I did it.
Let's put it, leave it there.
Okay. All right, light, Joan said to go up 1,000 on each one because she was worried, because the electric, which we were supposed to be saving money.
Yeah.
But,
Doesn't feel like it.
so I just upped each one, so that came to 12,000 instead of 10, okay? One was 6, I upped it to 7, one was 4, I upped it to 5. Hopefully we'll be good. All right, the real property tax, I had to change the village fire department. I had rounded it up $2 just to make it even. On the last one, I had 50/50, 50,500.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the contract tonight, it's 54.98. It's 497 and change,
At what
But
percent
I-
did we go?
that is 2% for the village fire department. Okay. I didn't do the percentage on yours. Did you write it on that budget? I don't know. The South Berlin fire it's 205.43, but we had a couple mistakes a couple years, so we had an appropriate fund balance of 1943 that I'm putting in for the South Berlin fire to clean that mess up. So there,
I thought we caught that up last
Yeah, I
year.
thought we did too.
we have 1,900 and something in there. And Mike said to roll it over and get rid of it. We did catch it up, but I don't know why we still have in our account, we have 1,900 and some dollars. And we're gonna get rid of it because it was mistakes made on South Lebron. 1 year was short, 1 year was too much. So we're gonna give it to the South Lebron. And so they're, on their tax, real property says 203,100. The appropriated fund balance is 1943, so it'll come to 205.43. And that, I don't know what the increase was. I'll have to go get I don't know if it said it on the budget. The ambulance, 41,808. That is a 4% increase.
You wanted 5,
He wanted 5. I said no.
Just for giggles.
Okay.
I got some numbers from the ambulance.
The village industry.
The village ambulance
Yep.
and their calls and stuff, just
We had
as a
two,
reference
we had
for
2
us.
calls last month for the ambulance in the town of Berlin. I haven't signed, and on top of that, we are giving them half in January,
Yeah, I wouldn't.
and we're giving them half the next 6 months. I did specify that.
The end of May.
No, it will be July.
No, we talked about it today.
I don't care what they talk about. They're getting it in July, after the 6 months. We'll pay 6 months and then another 6 months.
But then you're only giving them half of a payment per year.
Why is that?
Because their fiscal year ends the end of May. So when we pay them in January for half of last year, half of this year. So if we only do half,
June, you would pay
yeah, if,
the other half.
Ugh,
so we'd have
Yeah,
at the end of
but
May
that's
so they
because
can
of the
close
way-
out their books.
maybe we should pay them monthly.
But you'd still need to somehow catch up and pay them a whole year before the end of May, when they close their books.
Half year, right? Well.
Yeah, because I saw that. I made a note to change that to July.
If you do it
Because I saw that
every 6
written.
months, you would pay January for
Till
the
July.
6 months that you missed, and then January to June is the last 6 months.
Well, no, see, if we wanted to do it that way, you'd have to pay it
Monthly.
all, like, in January to catch up for, because of the way their fiscal year
We probably
is.
should pay them all in May when their year starts. We should probably pay them in May when their year starts.
No, their year ends in May and they haven't,
Yeah.
they won't have received a
Are
payment for 24.
When we approve this, we're approving coverage from January to December?
The contract is written for 6 months. We're only doing 6 months.
No, it's confusing.
I haven't sent it to the lawyer yet. I just got the contract.
It's for 6 months.
Well, it says we're doing it for a year, but if the payments are based on 6 months.
But we've been doing this right along.
Right.
I thought we were buying coverage from January to December.
Right, so we should probably lower that number.
Well, what I'm saying is, what are they figuring? Are they figuring from last July to this July or whatever it is, June to June, whatever?
Right, June.
Yeah, when we pay them, that should be for the whole 2025 to their
Well, and
fiscal year, their year to our fiscal year.
Well, yeah, but I got a question. What coverage are we paying for? What month's coverage are we paying for?
So in
From when to when?
January, when we normally pay them the 40-some thousand, we're paying them for the 6 months from the previous year that they didn't have our money, and then the next 6 months.
I thought they were getting paid yearly before. Weren't we paying yearly?
They were, but their budget is 6 months after ours, like they don't start their new budget.
Their fiscal
But that
year.
means,
It's
means,
way though, right?
June and
yeah, so that means you're telling me that first time that we cut them a check back in 13, they paid back expenses with our money.
Yes, because they didn't get money from us.
That is wrong.
That's why they were falling in the hole. So, but now that they've gotten better fiscally, I'm assuming, I don't really ever look at the reports, but when Pete and I were talking about it, if we only gave them half of the money between now and May, or the 1st of June, then we're only paying them for half of we're only paying them 50% for an entire year.
So we should probably only budget 50%.
Well, I'd like to back up and see on the contracts, what the contracts state, what time, what coverage.
You want me to get up?
12 months or 6 months.
Well, I mean, we ought to.
We
look
yeah,
at
to
that
figure it out
before
before we try to finalize.
Yeah.
Well, before we,
Well, I'll get them. Let's go through this and finish this, and then I'll get the contracts. So we can do any changes. Okay, South Brown Water. That one's totally changed from what I had before. Or no, did I change anything on there? I hadn't got to South Brown Water, did I last time?
You changed the
Yeah.
water rent.
Well, I talked to him about that, and because we have such a high re-levy of water rents,
The water sales.
he told me to just leave it the same, what we would actually collect, the 38.4. And then for interest and penalties, only put in 2,000, because we don't know how many people will get re-levied and how many
We're gonna
won't.
leave it at 38.4?
38.4, and then I put in interest and penalties of 2,000. Okay?
So it's not gonna be 26.6. 38.4.
You have
No,
26.9 on here.
I-
9, right?
I have 26.9 for the metered sales, and I have 11.5 for,
Add them up.
add them up.
Water,
Okay.
that's
where
the
you get that
38.4.
Okay.
That's what we should be collecting, but we can never determine. I mean, maybe everyone will start paying next year. I don't know. And then for interest and penalties, I only put 2 in because we can't really determine that because it depends on if people start paying or not. I don't know. This one's a tough one. So everything else stayed exactly the same except our bond. If you look at our bond, our principal payment went up because our interest payment is going down, and we're putting the extra money onto the principal, and it will cut their time on. See, it was 10.8, that's our principal payment, but our interest went down. This is what we actually paid, 57.34 instead of the 91.50. So we're taking the leftover debt retirement and we're putting it right on their principal. So it should cut the years that they have to pay down. You all understand that? They're the old debt retirements. That's from 96. So hopefully in every 2 years, they should cut a year of principal out. Question, April?
Mhm.
Okay.
No, it's just.
And then
doing
the
math
3120 or 250, that's our new debt retirement. That's the new plan. Okay, that's what we pay. And we have to pay that one in January, right? Deb?
Yes.
And then the interest we pay in February, or is it the
So
principal?
there's a March and a September.
Which one is which?
I'd have to go back and look. I think we do the larger one in March.
The principal's in March, and then the interest is September.
There's principal and interest, and then an interest only. So the one payment that we pay in March is principal and interest,
That's the 10-8 usually.
10-8 plus some interest. And then we pay interest only in September. I think that's how it goes.
Well, did I budget enough with the interest, the 15,016? What was last year's payment in March? Was it over 15,016? Because I might have to change those figures.
That's good. So you don't have the figures in there right though. The top number is the bond principal, and that's 10-8. That doesn't change.
Right,
But you have it as 15,016.
right, because we're still charging the people for interest of 9,150. That's interest, correct? And we're not paying that much, and we're not lowering their payment, so I'm giving it back to them in their principal.
So we're paying the extra 7 and change toward a principal payment.
Right,
So you're not doing the bulk ones that we were all talking about, paying like.
that will be a
an extra amount or-
resolution we gotta figure out. We gotta make sure we have enough in the account for January and February, because before the debt retirement comes. So, and then we're gonna figure out how much we have left, and then we're gonna do it that way and make a resolution.
Okay,
So this is just counting based on the 52 that we collect from everybody, every citizen for the debt retirement. These numbers should add up to $52,000. Those three numbers.
Yeah.
Check them, April, just in case I did the math wrong.
Yeah,
So that's how I came up with those.
so then whatever's left is gonna end up going we're gonna do a resolution.
Well, we have
Right.
some left over this
Beyond
year,
this.
we're gonna get it,
Okay.
and then this will be, what we collect, 52 next year will go right to
And
these
then we'll go.
payments. Yeah, I don't know, the interest may go down a little, so we can give them more on the, but
so
I don't know.
several years ago, what we did was we never lowered the amount that they were paying toward the debt retirement in hopes that we could make extra payments on
To cut
the
their time off.
1998, which has interest and won't be paid off until 2036.
Wow.
So we had hoped to be able to make extra payments, so we have, what did we figure we have in there?
We're hoping to pay 2 more payments.
I think we have over $20,000 extra in
Yeah.
our savings account
But
to
we
be
can
able to
pay
make
2 more payments.
2 payments to bring it down.
But
to
we
2
just
years
gotta make
plus save on
sure,
interest.
because those payments are due at the beginning of the year. So we gotta make sure the capital is in there, because we don't get the capital until out the
Till the
year.
end.
So
That makes
like at the
sense.
end of the year, hopefully we can, if there's a little extra, we can put a little more on, We probably won't do it till the end of the year, but we're budgeting for it. Okay. Any questions, and where do you want me to change?
You wanna look at the slides. Contract.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm good. Good job, Wendy.
If we get slapped with the parks.
Until I get my tax bill.
That, John, I tried to figure out the percentages. I do not know how to do it. I don't know how to do
Good job,
it.
and
Are they?
I know she's walking out, but I just as a taxpayer wanna
The taxpayers to do.
ask why we picked and choose who gets the higher raises. What is our base reasoning
Oops,
that
sorry.
we didn't go across the board like we've done for the last 11 years?
For what? I missed the question.
I said, as a taxpayer, I would just like to ask why this is the first year in 11 that we're picking and choosing who's getting raises, what line's getting raises, and who's getting bigger raises.
Well, the reason why the justice got 2.5 is because she explained to me we didn't give that line a couple years.
She wasn't the
Raises.
judge those years.
Right, but it would have increased throughout those years. Because if we gave everybody the 2% or the 3%, those lines would have, it would have got
But then
that.
those lines have been being dropped when new people go in. Like I have a deputy that got dropped over $1.50 from where the previous deputy was.
Because, yeah, she's brand new, and I don't know if the judge, when Vida came in, if that got dropped, or if it stayed the same, I can't remember. I don't think it got
Well,
dropped.
he came in with no experience, but Karen came in with experience.
Yeah, Karen was experienced, and she's had a rough year, that's what I'm basing on. As far as everybody else, your increase 3 years ago was $6,000 1 year. So that's why you stayed the same at 2, like everybody else.
Okay,
We
and
all
mine
got
cut.
5,000.
Mine got cut 4,000 last year.
Your town clerk line did not.
I'm not
get
talking
cut.
about my town clerk, I'm talking about my paycheck as a whole. Me
Got
as
cut.
an employee,
Got
I,
cut $3,000.
4,000, I, 4,092. I was making $7,092 and it was reduced to 3. I'm not just asking about me personally. I'm asking in general,
You're looking on the water?
in general, why is this the first year that we're picking and choosing
Well, I
higher
have
and lower
fought this
raises?
since I've been a board member, that it should be, if we're only raising the 2% to 2%, nobody should go over 2%. I'm trying to catch the police up to what is averaged out there. We've all got caught up. Your has got caught up. The judge, we're catching up. Next year,
How
it
do we
should be
know mine's-
2%, because we caught you up 3 years ago with a $6,000
And then
increase.
reduced my overall.
That was for water.
Right,
That was
okay,
for
so
water.
my water
Water.
was reduced.
Yes, water was
You were getting
reduced.
overpaid on water.
Yeah, the
I-
water-
That's why.
I was getting paid what they were making when I came in, plus a 2% raise each year.
No, it was 3%, and then we found out we didn't have enough money for safety equipment, for purification, for contractual, so we cut in water. Water is tough, and I still think I can find someone cheaper than 3,000 to do the billing, I just haven't had time to do it. I think we can cut that line tremendously. And we have 120 people. I've done the research on water, what other towns give. Some are 1,500. The highest one I ever came up with is 2,500.
One of
So,
the towns that you talked to, when I called back, the figures that you came up with weren't the figures.
I have their budgets right in my office. I can show it to you. Here's contracts. If you want to look. January, oh, here's the ambulance, January to May. I think this is the ambulance. That, we got to figure out something on that. That's not kosher to me.
Well, you gotta figure out when you're covering,
What's the agreement?
It could be either way, I mean, you could say it either way.
Yeah, like you're getting that money for your
You get
budget.
that money, only half of it, or you're
Is
getting
this
all
a
of
copy
it.
of the agreement?
I think, I don't know which this one is.
Depends on how you use it.
Ambulance.
To me, if they're only, if they're covering us, we feel they're covered from January to December.
That's 12
But
months.
their fiscal year doesn't start until June.
The contract.
They should be rolling our money back over into
Rolling it
their
over.
budget.
Right, they should put it in reserve until they not use it
Right, and roll it
And put it
over
in
in
for
their
us.
budget.
for
It should be in their appropriated
Yeah,
fund,
that's-
fund balance.
That contract says from January 1/25 to December 31/25.
exactly.
Right, that's their bookkeeping. They need to roll that money over.
Well, so then if we pay them 6 months, if we pay them in January and we pay them again in June, that's 6 months payments, right?
That's what I would think. I wouldn't do it in May. They need to put, oh, when we pay them in May or in June, you put that in your reserves for your following 6 months.
They're using their money for their budget.
Because why should we, when we can make money in our money market at 4%, why should we give the whole money out? Why aren't we keeping it here and us making the interest? Or
And then the
3.3.
third one, put it
And
in-
somebody's gonna make
Yeah,
interest
yeah,
that everybody else are.
It might better be us.
It could be they are.
So that's, I definitely agree. They need to roll that over. Like when we pay them, they have to make our money. Whatever we gave them last year and this year, that should be part of their budget. Shouldn't be going in May, it should be in June. And they put it in their reserve for their next, because that's what, January, February, March, April, May, 5. So they gotta do December to May, hold 6%, 6 months. Because I remember years ago, we did half and half. And then it got changed back
No,
to,
I don't think we ever did have.
yes, we did.
I don't remember.
We were supposed to. We were supposed to do half and half.
Then also it went to
And then it went back to full.
year.
Well, at least that's what I remember talking to Bob about it.
The terms of this agreement says they're January to December. So that's what we're,
That's what, and they'll get their second payment in June. That'll be 6 months.
for-
30
Yeah, I think it's 30 January.
or 31st, whatever, how many days. So I gotta talk to Pete about this. So it'll be January to June 30th, and then July to December. However, they gotta write it in their budget.
They're just, they're doing their budget different, but. they're
Well, they
basing
do
their budget
run,
on-
they do run on a separate budget
I know, but they're
sequence
doing
than
their
us,
budget.
but they need to
Based
put it
on all
in,
our
put it in
money that
appropriated
happen.
fund balance.
yeah, but if you're writing contracts with people, you gotta figure that your income from that according to the time of your contract.
Right, right, and they should spread that out into 12. I always said that about them, whatever I pay you should be spread out on your, because it never was, it was put in one payment, and then it showed nothing from the town of New Berlin for
Always zero.
12
The
months.
second half, yeah.
So they need to do that, so it looks transparency. And you know, the other thing I didn't understand, we've got a written itemized, and I don't know if it's because it's a protection. I'm very confused on a fire district and a fire protection district. Because we don't get, South of Berlin sends us their budget, line for line, every single thing that they're spending their money on. We never get anything for what the village fire department budget is. I've never seen one. I just get a contract because we are protection service,
They're in
We're
our,
contracting with them.
for a protection service.
but the village in the same district we are, right, fire district. That's why we're south of Berlin, different fire district.
South of Berlin's a different fire district, and we don't, our fire district is for a protective service, not a district.
Because we're already a district. That's what I'm saying.
The town
We're-
is,
we're
Because-
a district. Right, we're
South
not
of
a district, that's
yeah.
why the village is protected.
For this end of
They're
the town,
protecting
is
our
that
district.
how? But I don't know how that worked, like the difference between the protective service, like is that why we don't get a written as budget? Because it's not a budget.
It's a
But it-
part of their village budget.
Yeah.
right.
So
it's a
it's
certain
spelled out in
percentage
their
that goes to
village
the
budget.
budget and not for.
And I will tell you, in the town of Sherburne, they have a village too. Their ambulance is all in the town, all in their general, and then they send the money to the village. Even though the village runs the ambulance and does it, it's on the tax roll,
Okay.
on the town tax roll, so everybody gets paid, pays for the ambulance
Whether you're in town or-
to town. Because everybody, general, pays for general. They pay for their ambulance and then the town sends it to the village.
But
and-
the village ambulance,
It's the village ambulance.
does it say that?
That's who owns it. It's through their fire company. It's through their fire company. So, because I thought that was interesting.
Ours might be able to do that if we didn't have another entity that they have to bill for. So South of Berlin
Because it's different.
has enough
Right, we
people
can't.
that
Because they're paying,
they have to pay on theirs.
right.
So if you put it in the general budget, then John, you're South of Berlin Fire District, right?
No. no.
Roy, are you? So you and I would be paying both for South New Berlin and we'd be paying for the village. So we would be taxed twice since we live in a different,
Yeah, I don't know, like, I don't understand the
Is that-
protection.
What was they getting away with, or not? Is that based on the mail?
No, that's.
The truck, that's based on the
That's
truck.
the truck, the ambulance hasn't even gone for a bid in a couple weeks here.
Yeah, that's the new truck that they voted to get.
And it wasn't even new, it's new use, but.
New to you.
Because nobody's got $1 million for a truck. It's just,
No,
it's
You
not
can't do it,
reasonable.
yeah.
state that we.
No, we could sign for grants, it's not.
Number 7 budget, tell me what you want to change.
I think as long as we make sure that that is the 6 months, I mean, it's not gonna change what we.
Yeah,
what we're
but-
paying,
but
so it's
we're
not gonna
budgeting.
change the.
This will
I
correct.
just wanted to make sure. that-
This, the only thing, I mean, I've gone over it and changed like the bottom line so many different times. I wish the assessor.
In the end, you come up with the same.
I'm coming up with
No
the
matter what,
same.
you come
I
up with the
can't
same.
cut it, and I've tried
percentage
over and
stuff.
over. I mean, it's just crazy, the bottom number, and I just,
You know, I don't think anybody can be realistic. I think
it can't go up, because the
Yeah.
pricey stuff.
It has to,
prices
yeah.
go up, things cost.
Things are
more.
outrageous right now,
It's
it's
just,
just, and they're not getting any better.
and
We're not.
you're not gonna ever make one that you don't have somebody criticize you over anyway for one way or another, so.
Yeah, I mean, I did, this is my 7th. I'm not, yeah, I don't think we did crazy, and, like I said, the police, the police is the only one, and I said it from January, that's the only department we really haven't got up to par. They'll be good, judge will be good, everybody across the board 2% next year, I'm hoping. I hope we have no foreseen, and I'm hoping, like, first, the assessor came at 10,000 for her, consulting fee, and I'm like, there's no way we're doing 10. I can't do 10. So she came down to 5. So, and she doesn't know how much she's gonna have to consult with the girl, and we're gonna have to set up an interview with her
After she leaves,
if she needs it.
okay.
And I'm
Yeah,
basing
can't
it
go
on
without
5,000. Well, I based it on 3 months. Hopefully, we won't need her for 2026, but we won't know until we get there, because she'll be solo for 3, well, not for 3 months, still
And you
getting
don't
some.
know the doom, she may get into it and say, oh, I
It's
don't.
too much, and I don't want.
And she
Let's
might-
hope not.
Start
Let's
over
hope
again.
And that, I did make a note that is based on, that'll bring us up to 11.25 a parcel. Because she asked for, in Penny's wish, she asked for $15 a parcel. She wanted it to be 26,000 instead
What
of
is Penny
19.
getting per parcel?
11.25 now with a 2% increase.
So then she'll train this girl she'll be alongside her for 9 months, starting January.
Yeah, and she's hoping we can appoint her in the end of September.
And
So
then she'll
Penny will
make
get
what?
the salary, she'll get what Penny's making.
If she
She,
gets-
But if
will-
she's
gets-
brand new coming in, why is she coming in at the same amount?
she'll be getting 11.25 a parcel. Well, we gotta see if she's worth 11.25 a
Well, she's
parcel.
gotta get certified first. of all.
Yeah,
Gotta
she's
set
gotta
the
be
rules to able
certified.
To finish.
We might have to keep Penny on till she gets certified. That's the next problem. And she was asking for $15 a parcel for her to start, and I'm like, I can't. I mean, she gave me a whole spreadsheet, Penny did. And I can't go up that. Yeah,
Did we toy at all with the idea of giving my deputy an extra 4 hours a week so that I can offer benefits? So that's a really hard job to,
I told them all, and, we are all sticking with the 16 because she's getting a $1 increase. And no more hours.
the 16, and then what about in January?
She'll be still getting 16 because she's getting a $1 with 2 months left. She's getting a $1 increase. She started at 15. So she'll be getting a $1 in October.
Mhm.
So it'll be October, November,
Talking about
December.
the number of hours.
Yeah, number of hours. I talked to them all about it. I was gonna do 20 hours in January and 16 for the rest of the year, and I did all the math on those calculations, but then we said it's easier to leave it at 16. And we've proved that we don't need a clerk more than 16.
I would beg to disagree. I mean, I think what I'm having a hard time understanding, and I'd like to say openly, is how did we decide in the same year that the main office of this building that deals with all the constituents gets such a major reduction, but a campground goes from 3,400 to over 20,000 for one employee? I just don't understand.
It's not,
You guys budgeted Millbrook for 3,400 for a manager last year and this year. But when said person was relieved of the deputy clerk duties, somehow that position magically went from 3,400 to a necessity of over $20,000.
I'll
being
tell you
paid.
exactly how it happened.
And that office,
It-
that was no $17,000 worth of work being done by the deputy in that office. But I can't even offer my new deputy 20 hours to get permanent part-time benefits. So if she's sick, she's just out. And to be honest, you guys
She did
think
that when
you,
she got hired, right? When she went to get benefits?
Yeah,
No,
she got
so
hired
she
for
accepted them.
16 hours at 16 hours.
You know,
Because we took a lot of relief off of that,
no,
off of your house.
not $17,000 a year, Wendy.
I do believe we
You-
have,
you
because now
guys-
Millbrook is nothing
guys
to
said
do
last
in this
year-
office. It's out completely.
Last year, Connie
We-
said she did not do any Millbrook in this office because it was double dipping. So if she did no Millbrook in this office last year, then how is $17,000 worth of money being taken from that front office
Because
and
we
given to
never,
a campground?
we never
that's open
paid
for 15
anybody
weeks.
for off-season, Debbie. We're paying somebody for off-season now. Off-season, because they cannot call this office during off-season, the phone will be 3 hours. Somebody will be working Millbrook 3 hours a day, 5 days a week for 15 hours, for $6,900 for 26 weeks. It's off-season. They're gonna be looking for grants. They're gonna be making the schedule. They're gonna be making the
I have,
activities that we do. It's a full-time job. And
I
now
have
we
no
found out by
problem.
the New York State that they told us we always have to have 2 beach attendants on when the beach is open. That's why that is such an increase at that line. She'll be working 40 hours a week plus her off weekends. If she's not working, she'll be on the call after hours. That's based on 8 hours a day, 7 days a week for 26 weeks. That campground will be functioning. That campground's cost us a lot of money, but I do believe in the end, we're gonna be making more than 35,000 revenue.
and I think eventually we will. Up until now,
And
Millbrook
you've been
has-
the one that's preached it and
quadrupled.
preached it and preached it,
And
that
I-
it needed to get out of this office. It's too much work now. So we have to pay somebody a salary that is worth doing it. We have to pay 2 people a salary
But
that's worth doing it.
we also need to pay that front office a salary that's worth doing it. These are the people who are dealing face to face with taxes, vital statistics, the constituents on a day-to-day basis. And you're treating that position like a part-time beach attendant, but yet you're taking the campground and treating that monetarily and everything else at a higher value.
I'm not
I
treating
don't
it like
think-
that. I'm not treating it like that.
I
I've
don't think
done
what
the
you have going on up
research.
there is wrong. I think that's a very good thing to have somebody up there full-time. I have told you that, but not at the cost of that front office.
Well, the
being
cost of
drained.
the front office, I've done the research. The highest, the biggest town in Shenango County is Green. And they have a deputy clerk that works 20 to 25 hours a week, and she does 2 jobs. She does the clerk to the supervisor, and she does the deputy clerk job. She does 2 jobs for 20 hours a week. And that's the largest town in Shenango County. Most Shenango County, a lot of them don't have deputies. A lot of them have
Have you asked
deputies
them
that
what they do?
a lot of deputies come in when you're gone. When their town clerk is gone, they relieve her when she's out sick, when she's on vacation. That's what a deputy is for.
Well, what
and I
this has
really feel
created in
that-
the last month is that if I am sick or I take a day, this office has to close.
I
And
don't
the
feel it. I
constituents
think
are
that's
starting to feel
managing.
that.
Oh, they are. I got a complaint the other day.
No, and I
A
know,
huge
and I told
complaint.
them.
That
Is it
it's
because
good.
she's not trained? Is that why it has to close?
Like, I don't know
No,
why
I
she's not.
cannot tell a grown adult that A, you don't get enough hours to actually consider this a job. You don't get any type of benefits. And you might have to work on a Wednesday, you might have to work on a Friday. Nobody can do that. We don't have retirees around here who are coming for this type of a job. But I did find somebody, I found 2 people. I found one that she couldn't do it without benefits, and the pay was way too less for her as a trained individual. And she was a clerk for over 15 years, and she was willing to come
But
back.
Jamie's not working anywhere else right now, she told me.
No, this is her only job.
Right, so
And
she,
so she's making 16
She's making
She's working
13.
16 hours a week. And I have to give her a schedule. She has to build her life around a schedule. So I have her scheduled 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. But if on one of those days, I happen to get sick or go away, she works 9 to 1. She can't work over 16 hours. So the office can't open till 9 and it has to close at 1.
Well, maybe she'd be flexible to come in like 8 hours one day and not all the others.
She's tried that a little bit, but I have to give her a schedule. I mean, it doesn't,
Well, you know when you're gonna go on vacation, so you could,
yes, that one I
over
can,
there.
but if
a
I,
sick day, you'd have to, like, if you're sick one day, could she come in for 8 hours and then be off the next 2 days? Because you'll be back. I mean, it's all in balance
it's
in the
too hard
schedule.
to run that
It's managing-
office between a line of people getting hunting licenses, the phone is ringing, somebody's trying to pay their water. You cannot, even with 2 people today, we had a line of 6 people that we were trying to get through, and then we had to get a hold of Joan to get into QuickBooks because we had someone wanted their invoice. So that office is busy.
I'm not saying it's not, but I proved over and over from other towns and looking, nobody has.
They might not
deputy
do all the
clerk.
same stuff that we do here then.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
There's a lot of towns
But
that don't
if
do
you
hunting
feel,
and.
if you feel that way, then I think, then why aren't you coming in on Fridays? Or why don't you take her away from a week and have her come in on Fridays?
Because I come in on Fridays.
This office is not open all day Friday.
I had an appointment Friday, and as soon as my appointment was done, I came in.
Yeah, but our taxpayers shouldn't have to make an appointment to come in here. They should be able to walk through the door on a Friday for the 8
Because
hours.
you tell me we need
whatever.
more hours,
Right.
we need
But
more
they should have that
deputy, but we
available,
have
but we
you, you're the number one person.
Right, you're the number one.
That
person.
salary was based on a 40-hour week salary. It's always been 8 to
Yeah.
4,
And I work 40 hours.
7 days a week.
I work 8 hours remote.
That's
Well-
remote, but you're not helping the people that come to the door.
I was here Friday.
That's why I can't give in. I don't think you use your deputy sufficient enough.
To me.
I would have her in on Fridays when you're not here.
to me,
You
the-
guys don't want me to compare offices, but you have another employee that is not here and gets paid, and no one says diddly. I don't know how we offer an emergency service to the person who runs that is not even here. So you guys keep on trying to come at me
Right?
about my
What
hours.
department? What
You
department?
keep trying to come
What
at me about
department
my
are you
hours.
referring to?
1 day a week, I generally
What
Work
what
remote,
department
but I'm
are you
here if I
referring
need
to that works from home? What department?
I'm talking about our police department. We have an employee that works from home 80% of their hours.
He works 20 hours a week. That's
80%
always
of those are from home. And
I think
nobody
he works
questions that.
I think he works over 80% at home and still does the 20 hours in office.
No, you're not here to see. I am.
Okay.
I'm just trying to say, you know, I've had John say, prove that I work from home. Nobody's asking anyone else to prove. Is anybody up at Millbrook knowing that Millbrook puts in 14 to 16 hours?
Yeah.
Because their schedule has been copy paste.
Sarah's always paying attention to stuff.
Sarah's up there. I go up there. I drop in on occasion. No
I'm just-
call. I dropped in the highway at
Guys,
6:33 the
at
other
my
morning.
office
I
and
dropped in at
Friday.
6:33 the other morning at Highway to see what the highway was doing. So yes, we do oversee our departments.
With Jamie, she took it down, she knew more than that. So I mean,
And it's 16 hours a
But all
week.
things are
She can, if she wants to go on vacation, you can change her hours to, anything she wants. If you want to have her 2 full days, 8 hours, or
She just had a sick kid. She couldn't come in at all last week. So I ran the office solo and I'm back behind again. It's just not enough. That's all I'm trying to say.
well, she was here one day last week. I think it was Friday with her kid here, because I was here.
That was the week before.
That was last week. So,
So what are we
Any-
doing with this? We're gonna approve it?
well, it's unless you want me to change anything.
I don't think so.
The only thing that there might be some lines on FX that I would change, because me and Joan were working on this like
The longer you
crazy.
look at it, the more you want.
Where you went
I was
to-
gonna say-
So I need to stop.
Take
It's
your
like
advice.
taking
Can I
a
stop?
test. You keep changing your answers, you're gonna
Take
get.
your husband's advice.
He
It's
told
over.
me the last one,
It's
leave
over.
it alone. But I don't know if the comptroller is gonna slap us on the youth. I don't think they are, because our audited guy said it should be. It should be over there.
Well,
Because it's not a youth program, it's a campground, it's a recreational park, and we charge a service for
That's
So-
fine. What are you gonna do?
it. They're gonna slap us and tell us to move it back to general next year.
So let's go ahead with this.
Okay, so I will get this written, nice and neater. There's a couple spell checks, and these numbers all gotta be corrected. The numbers are off. The comptroller told me, or the audit guy told me that, so we gotta fix them before I hand it in to Deb. All right, and then this, I'll talk to Pete about.
Well, the states, it's from, the contract states it from January first to December.
Right,
that's
so
what
he's
we're
gotta
paying
do
for.
his budget. I don't care how he does his
That's what I
budget.
said, what we do doesn't.
We will give him a check in June, and we will give him a check in January,
Like I said,
June
here, if you
30th.
wanna pay me once a year, pay me in January.
right? All right.
I'm for that.
Oh my God, could this really be, I don't ever have to look at these, I just gotta save all these worksheets for next year.
Do you have the budget from Green?
The what?
The budget from Green? I know a couple of times you said that
Yes, I
you
do.
based a lot.
I have the budget from Green. I don't know if I have it here, it might be home, but I can bring you one. Okay. Phew. That's it?
That's it.
If you're gonna raise or with the budget.
I was actually gonna take mine out. I just hate the bottom line. It makes me physically sick. Because John, I don't know how to figure out the percentages. I tried to do it and I don't like the, because the levy, we're still under the cap.
That's hocus pocus money, that's,
I know, but when people see that percentage of levy, they think that's how much we raise the budget and it's not accurate.
A lot of times, people were really just looking at what does it cost me? That's what they're.
Yeah, and I don't know how to
What
tell you.
What's it gonna cost me?
John, it's gonna go up. Your tax is gonna go up, but I hate to tell you.
well, yeah. Oh, we know
They're
that.
gonna go up all
I think it
over.
was like 94,000, the whole budget went up. 94
Just
something.
all of that Millbrook, that's just gonna be anybody outside of the village has to take that on now, because now that amount of money isn't spread across everyone. So that in itself is gonna be
Where is this one?
an increase.
John, where did you get this one? Where did I get this one?
That's good right there.
Okay.
Well,
I think you're gonna-
back and forth.
I don't think they're gonna yell at you.
Locked it? Locked it. Oh, yay. So April, you've not been in.